What if I told you that in a world shaking with fear, confusion, and uncertainty, God promises that those who trust Him can become unshakable, not because life is easy, but because their foundation is eternal. Stay with me because Psalm 125 reveals one of the most powerful secrets of spiritual stability in chaotic times. NKJV Bible, Psalm 125 says, "Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved, but abides forever." Psalm 125 is known as one of the songs of ascents, sung by pilgrims traveling to Jerusalem. As they climbed toward God's city, they were reminded of a powerful truth. The safest place in a shaking world is trusting God. Today, society is filled with anxiety, social division, economic uncertainty, broken families, and endless distractions. People are searching for security everywhere: money, status, politics, technology, relationships. Yet, Psalm 125 teaches that true stability comes from God alone. Verse 1. Trust makes you unshakable. Those who place their trust in the Lord become like Mount Zion, established and enduring. Meaning, Mount Zion stood as a symbol of permanence. Storms came, empires rose and fell, generations passed, yet the mountain remained. The psalmist is teaching that trusting God creates spiritual stability. This doesn't mean believers never face problems. It means problems do not destroy them. Today's society often builds life on temporary foundations: popularity, social media approval, wealth, career success, human opinions. But all these things can disappear overnight. A life built on God remains standing when everything else is shaken. Spiritual advice. Ask yourself, what am I trusting most today? Because whatever you trust becomes your foundation. Story. The two buildings. Imagine two skyscrapers. One is built on solid bedrock. The other is built on sand. For years, they look identical. Then an earthquake comes. One stands, one collapses. The difference was never the appearance. The difference was the foundation. Many people look strong until life shakes them. Psalm 125 reminds us that trusting God creates foundations. 2. As the mountains surround Jerusalem, earthquakes cannot destroy. So the Lord surrounds His people from this time forth and forever. Verse 2. God's protection surrounds His people. Just as mountains surround Jerusalem, God surrounds His people. Spiritual meaning. Jerusalem was naturally protected by surrounding hills. The people could look around and see visible evidence of protection. The psalmist uses this picture to reveal an invisible reality. God surrounds His children. You may not always see His protection. You may not always feel His protection, but His presence remains. Many believers spend too much time looking at the danger and not enough time looking at the God who surrounds them. Spiritual advice for today. Modern culture constantly feeds fear. Fear of failure, fear of the future, fear of rejection, fear of economic collapse. Psalm 125 teaches a different perspective. Instead of asking, what danger surrounds me? Ask, how is God surrounding me right now? Story. The child in the storm. A little girl was traveling through a violent storm. Lightning flashed. Thunder shook the car. Everyone was nervous. Yet the child sat peacefully. Someone asked, "Aren't you afraid?" She smiled and replied, "No, my father is driving." That is the message of Psalm 125. Peace is not found in perfect weather. Peace is found in knowing who is driving. 3. For the scepter of wickedness shall not rest on the land allotted to the righteous, lest the righteous reach out their hands to iniquity. Verse 3. Evil will not rule forever. The influence of wickedness has limits. God will not allow evil to prevail forever. Spiritual meaning. This verse addresses one of humanity's oldest questions. Why do evil people seem to prosper? But he also declares that God remains in control. The psalmist acknowledges that injustice exists. Evil has an expiration date. Corruption has an expiration date. Oppression has an expiration date. Sin has an expiration date. God's kingdom does not. Spiritual advice for today. When you watch the news, it may feel like darkness is winning. Psalm 125 says, "Do not judge God's plan by today's headlines. God sees the entire story. What appears permanent is often temporary." Story: The Night Watchman. A young man once worked as a night watchman. Every night seemed endless. Darkness covered everything, yet he knew a secret. No matter how long the night felt, morning was already on its way. Likewise, believers live with confidence because God's light is always approaching. Darkness never gets the final word. For do good, O Lord, to those who are good, and to those who are upright in their hearts. Deep spiritual meaning. Notice that God is interested not only in actions, but in the condition of the heart. The psalmist asks God to bless those whose hearts remain upright. Verse 4, a prayer for the good. Society often rewards appearances. God examines motives. Many people appear successful outwardly while struggling inwardly. God desires integrity, a sincere spirit, a pure heart. People carefully edit what others see, an authentic relationship with Him. Spiritual advice. In today's culture, image management is common. But spiritual growth begins when we allow God to transform who we really are. Character matters more than image. Integrity matters more than popularity. Story: The Hidden Tree. A gardener planted 2 trees. One grew quickly above the ground. The other spent years developing roots. The deeply rooted tree survived. The first tree impressed everyone. The second tree seemed ordinary. Then a great storm arrived. The shallow tree fell. God is more interested in deep roots than fast growth. 5 As for such as turn aside to their crooked ways, peace be upon them. The Lord shall lead them away with the workers of iniquity. Iniquity, peace be upon Israel. Verse 5, the choice of direction. Those who deliberately turn toward crooked ways separate themselves from God's path, while peace belongs to God's people. Deep spiritual meaning. This verse highlights a powerful truth. Direction matters. A person does not drift into righteousness. A person drifts away from it. Every day, we choose truth or compromise, faith or fear, integrity or convenience, God or self. The path we repeatedly choose becomes the life we eventually live. Spiritual advice for today. Modern culture often says, do whatever feels right. Psalm 125 teaches, walk in God's ways. Feelings change. Truth remains. Final encouragement. Psalm 125 speaks directly to today's world. When society is unstable, trust God. When fear surrounds you, remember, God surrounds you more. When evil seems strong, remember, it is temporary. When integrity feels costly, stay faithful. When the path is difficult, keep walking with God. Because the central message of Psalm 125 is this: people who trust God are not preserved because life is easy. They are preserved because God is faithful. The same God who surrounded His people in Psalm 125 still surrounds those who trust Him today.